be quiet because I hit the.
Yes, we did.
You had to be quiet because I hit the button.
Yeah, we'll sell the backstage stuff later. We'll talk about that package.
Mm-hmm. It won't be quiet very long. Tonight will be very hot, because I'm coming for you tonight.
Yeah, all right. Alex coming in hot. Here we go. All right, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. I've got most of the crew with us. Chris is in his move right now, so he's not here tonight. But got everybody else. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Yep.
All right, I just want to get right to it. Let's go right into the facilities issue. It's in the news again. We saw these pictures of Harding's track. CMS did repair it. I'll upload a photo of that, but Dale, I know this is an issue that's really close to your heart, so I want to start with you. Are CMS athletics facilities equitable?
That's hard to answer because they'll tell you they are. And they tell you they do this stuff based on rotation of who was the last to get funds for something. But then when you're actually involved with it and trying to make something happen, you hear stories out of them as far as why they can't do this or why they can't do that. And then ultimately, and I don't know what caused to make this happen, but most likely embarrassment, because that's what it took with some issues that I was involved in, is that you end up having to embarrass it. Langston, it really bothers me that there are facilities that need addressing and they don't get addressed. And I understand they don't have monies like they need to, as they say, but that just to me doesn't seem to be the whole story as to why things aren't happening. I like the comment that Grice made about picking the fruit and wondering why it's not right or why it's rotten. Unfortunately, I think we know why it's rotten, and that's the fact that we're dealing with government-controlled operations here, and
I'll give CMS this. They did go out and fix Harding's issues, as you can see in the photo today. But these issues are going to continue because it's an issue more with the field overflowing onto the track. So this is just going to come up again and again. Coach Griner, I want you to be careful. But you coached at Harding, and you're familiar with the facilities issues they have. CMS gave Harding a beautiful brand new gym. Let's recognize that. But they don't have a field house. Their football field is in really bad shape. And it's not the only place in Charlotte that's like this, but it always seems when we talk about facilities lately, it always kind of comes back to Harding. What was your experience over there?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I mowed the grass 2 to 3 times a week with that Bermuda, and we actually got it going pretty good for a good while. And that's why, we played all our home games, even in the playoffs there, and having a field house would help greatly for like practice and things like that. But it also has a benefit not having one. It created toughness in our group where, the team we're going against at the time, Vance, in the semifinals, they literally brought a tent because it was so cold because they knew there was no place to go into for halftime. And we're just like, we're used to this cold. We're used to this type of environment. So it can build toughness, and it can help you if you use it the right way. It's just, you have to navigate through some things that you don't have that other schools do, but you got to look at it as an advantage for the competitive aspect of it. That's what we try to do.
Gary, your thoughts here. CMS facilities equitable?
Well, Reiner just reminded me by saying Vance. One of their hashtags is Mud Boys. Well, why are they saying Mud Boys? Because their field 2 years ago was basically mud, and they ended up making them move a playoff game to another stadium because of the damage that had been done to their field. And I saw where you posted the pictures that they fixed Harding's track, but they have the same problems at Vance. at Mallet Creek, some other tracks around town where the rubber has puffed up because water has gotten under it. And now some of these teams, they can't practice safely because they have all this damage done to their tracks.
The keys are the irrigation, where the water runs off to. That needs to be really, really cleaned up in certain areas, and then it would save, a lot of these issues. Like that's what water creates erosion. I mean, it's simple. You got to have good drainage.
Alex, I want to come to you. I know we had a discussion on our text message earlier. You were pretty passionate about this topic.
Okay, first and foremost, are athletic facilities within Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools equitable? Absolutely not. They never have been, and I'll hold out hope for the future. Let's just say that they never have been, and they are not. I also want to add that our athletic facilities within just about any LEA in the state of North Carolina, or in any state for that matter, equitable. Unless you're dealing with a one high school LEA, since we're talking high school here, then no, they're not. So let's acknowledge that this issue transcends Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Let's be fair and acknowledge that.
Is this a booster club issue, Grice? Is this for the schools that have more money via booster clubs? They can take care of things a little faster than schools that don't?
I mean, I think it's a larger issue here. I mean, I don't think you're talking booster clubs. I mean, we're talking about basic necessities that certain schools don't have. I mean, I think, Sam talked about it when you talk about a school not having a field house. I mean, I don't think that's booster club and, parental involvement and a single school. That is a fundamental problem within a school system. You talk about these coaches coaching at different places and trying to maintain equity. I mean, let's think about how unrealistic this is. You're talking about a state champion that's well on their way to another state championship that is sitting here that doesn't have a field that they really want to play on. I want to say that they played maybe 2 home games this year. I mean, it's something ridiculous that you have an issue with a school that is one of the most talented schools in our area, probably one of the banner programs right now in this state, and they have so many problems that you can look at between their track, between their field, and no one's doing anything about that. And that's the school that's having success. Like, imagine some of these other schools that are struggling, and people look at the coaches and fire coaches because they feel like they're not doing a good enough job. We talked about Garinger the same way. When you don't provide resources to these schools, and then you look at the coaches and say they're the problem, that's where I have the biggest issue with. And so I see a lot of issues around here that need to be fixed from the school system level, but they continue to pass the buck and allow these schools to just kind of exist as they are and blame those that are trying to come in and help.
Kizzy, what do you see from a student perspective?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, like CMS does a horrible job managing money in general. I go to Huff and we don't necessarily have athletic problems, but if you look at our school, we have a lot of other problems that aren't handled wisely. And I think, it shows when you have a light up sign, but you don't have enough money to put salt on the wooden things for the trailers. Like, that's ridiculous. CMS doesn't do a good job managing money, which is why we have problems like this, like economics, like hire a guy like Grice, like fix it. It's not hard. Like, manage your money wisely and you wouldn't have as many problems.
Okay.
Grice, boy, look at you. They're going to hyping you up already.
So, Langston, your comment about booster club.
The myth, the legend.
So I wanted to make a comment. You asked if it's something that booster clubs could fix, and that's something that I learned very quickly on with CMS is that no, it's not, because while you could potentially raise the money to fix it, what you would think would cost to fix it, it turns out that CMS has to manage it, and they have to choose who fixes it, and they end up having to manage all the money. And in the end, you cannot, because those were some of the things we looked at Olympic was, can we raise money to do this? Can we raise money to do that? And the hard answer is that while you could go out and do that, going through the whole bureaucracy of CMS and how they do things, in the end you have to let them do the fixing, and you really can't even give them the money to fix it. So
Right.
It's a real tough situation.
Absolutely.
I think where booster clubs come in is they supplement the AD's budget.
Yeah.
For extra uniforms, the travel, things that the AD has to take out of the athletic budget is where a good booster club comes in handy.
All right,
Exactly.
you guys see on the screen, CMS announced expanded attendance today for spring athletic events. There was a petition that just started, I think last night or night before, asking for this, and all of a sudden we get it. What do you guys think about CMS? We're still not at 50 like most of the rest of the state, but we're at 30 now. What do you guys think?
Not enough.
Why? Just I would love just to have a detailed answer as to state why. Like I completely understand. I've complied with all the guidelines this year. We made it through with no COVID cases on our team, like the entire year. We've done everything that's been asked. And a lot of programs, if not every program in our city, have done everything that's been asked. So why don't we get the numbers? And I'm not saying, and kind of going against that. I just think a little bit more, understanding or transparency, and that's been our big word the last few weeks. Just some transparency to understand what's the reason that we have more restriction here, especially in this area where we have more teams playing than in a lot of other areas. So just it's a more just understanding of what the rationale is for holding that as opposed to allowing mandated or what's allowed by the governor, because the governor gives guidance for the entire state. Mm-hmm. So I need to understand why Charlotte is that that much specific to be that restrictive.
Kenzie, as a student, what do you think?
I mean, I've said it before. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we can be back completely in school. We're not 6 feet away from each other, but when it comes to outside athletics, they've taken away the fun out of school. And, they just continue to show that they're going to do that and that they don't necessarily care about the students. And I stand by that statement 100%.
Langston, before they came out with their decision this afternoon, one of the things that, I text you that I thought would be a good idea is they take all the schools that are still remaining in the playoffs. Which one has the smallest stadium? I think Butler and Vance have a maximum of 2,000. Now the governor says 50%. So that would be 1,000. So each athlete gets 2 tickets, and then whatever's left over up to 1,000, you sell online to the public. And that way you've doubled what your rate is. I think when you go by percentages, the 30% deal, each stadium is a different size. What if it's a home game at Providence? Well, I think their stadium may seat 5,000. So they're going to get more than, say, Butler, even though they're playing a game at Butler, I think. But I want to commend them, first of all. They did do something. They listened. Wish they could have done a little bit more.
All right. Anybody else? Alex, I know you have something to say.
Well, it's a catch-22 because if you look at it another way, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools always has erred on the side of caution in health-related circumstances relative to athletics. I'd like to refer back to the 2000 football season when Chris Leak was a sophomore at Independence, and Independence was scheduled to participate in a scrimmage in Raleigh and could not do so because not per NCHSAA policy, but per Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools policy, that the Patriots had not had enough practice days prior to scrimmaging. So there is a precedent for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools erring on the side of caution in these cases. That being said, I do think that there is a difference in terms of moving forward in these situations, particularly if you look at a situation like Olympic, which visited Panther Creek in Wake County last week, where you have less restrictive seating situations. So managing the dynamic of, okay, our Charlotte-Mecklenburg School student athlete parents will have a better chance of more family members seeing their student athletes compete on the road than at home.
Yeah, no, that's a tough deal.
to manage.
But it is good they did expand it some, because Butler and Providence and Huff and Vance are going to, withdraw huge crowds. Butler and Providence are like literally like around the corner from each other.
That's
so
a big crowd.
That's a big game. But I want to bring in my man Shaleak Knotts. I want to hold him in the back too long and bring him in. How you doing, Shaleak?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
All right, man. You scared Sam half to death when we looked at your video, because you had him in the weight room trying to pump up his arms and whatnot last night. He was scared to death of you.
I know. I seen him.
You know what it is, Shaleak.
Well, look, man. Tell me about your recruiting, Shaleak. Everybody keeps telling me you're a big time UNC target. Is UNC a part of the recruiting picture? And if
Yes,
so,
sir.
who else is part of it?
UNC, Maryland, Georgia. It's a lot of out-of-state schools, but right now I'm still taking my time. I ain't been on a lot of visits, so soon we can get a commitment going on.
When
you know Langston's a homer for you. He's going to
hold on. No. Shaleak, here's the homer for UNC right there. That guy right there is the homer for UNC.
That's right.
Go ahead, Gary. Ask him a question.
It's a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision.
Well, he need to go to West Point then.
What are you looking for in a college and a coach and a team? What are you looking for?
I mean, the people that I'm built around, the coaching staff. I mean, to get on the field early and get to work.
I think you said that perfectly. It's about the relationships. Your position coach has to matter, not necessarily the guy that's recruiting you, but the guy you're going to be in the room with every single day, because you're going to spend more time than you ever dreamed of. You have to have a good relationship with that guy, and you'll definitely do that. You're such a special player. They're going to be fighting off. And they're going to fight.
When are you going to make the decision? Are you going to do it like this summer, or are you going to wait till? I know you're not coming back after January, so you going to make that decision this summer. You're going to wait.
That's the plan. After my official visits, that's the plan.
Yeah. When are you gonna take your officials?
The one I got set, I only got one set up right now, and that's June 25th to the 27th with Maryland.
Okay. So what do we got to do to have you come back here? I know you're gonna have a video. I'll play the video on the show live, and you announce it. Like, we'll play the video, and at the end you announce it. Can we do that?
Yeah, you can do that.
Cause we'll blow. I'm serious now.
All right.
Well, I want to show you what Sam had to say about you, because he was really impressed. And then we're going to see if you can beat Sam in the game show, because you can't see his hands right now, but he's shaking. But let's take
hey.
All right, Sam. Last week was not so good for you.
I know, but look, I got the guns out, okay? And
hold on. Let's see the guns on the one shot. Let's see the guns.
I don't know if it'll fit on the screen right now, but I hit the weight room today. I'm trying to intimidate Shaleak now, because he looked like he was swole on camera when I was watching film.
Yeah. So we got Shaleak Knotts Monroe is coming to take you on the game show on Tuesday night. And we had to bring in the guru of Union County football, Tim Winters, because nobody knows Union County like Tim does. Tim, tell us a little bit about this young man, Shaleak Knotts. We know he's a top 100 recruit. You see right there, he's ranked number 12 in his position nationwide by 247, number 3 in North Carolina.
Yeah, you see his size, his weight. He's probably carrying now, I'd say, probably around 180 or so. Just a big physical presence on the field. And, he gets all the mention about his offensive play, but defensively, great tackler. I think he's had 9 picks over his high school career. He's only a junior. A lot of pass deflections, covers a ton of ground. Great. Here you see that this is just the recent playoff game up at Statesville, and just throwing people off his body. Just a physical presence, great hands, very good speed, very good. There was a deflected pass there, knocks down a pass. This is from his freshman year against Anson County.
Yeah, and no boys can run too on the other side.
Yeah, that dude's got wheels. Coach, what do you see here on film with this young man?
My favorite thing about him, and I always try to find the one thing I really, really like when I watch film, is this dude, when he touches the ball, he doesn't try to get first downs. He tries to score. Like, he wants to threaten the defense now, and that's why he's a top 100 player in the nation. I predict him being a 5-star guy by his senior year.
Wow.
I think he's really, really good. He's explosive, and he's a dog. You don't find too many receivers that are just straight dogs, and that's exactly why he plays defense too. They're like, hey, he's one of the best players I've seen. He's got to play both sides of the ball. Both sides of the
All right, so I gotta ask two questions. Sam, well, one question to Sam. Last week you made some comments that got you in a little bit of hot water. I don't think they were correct, but you got a little bit of hot water. So were you trying to be extra nice to Shaleak so he wouldn't come after you?
I respect this game. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I'm impressed with him. Like when I watch him, I just see like a guy that can play for a long time in this game because he plays it with passion, and I appreciate that. I like to see greatness, and anytime I see it, if it could be watching American Idol or anything, if someone's doing something great, I love it, and Shaleak does that on the football field. So I just appreciate it.
All right, so Shaleak, before we get into the game, they want me to ask you about Johnny Sowell, your football coach, your basketball coach, you run track, he's your track coach. I mean, he just lives in Monroe, right?
Yeah, that's the man.
What makes him so special over there?
He is the man.
I mean, he been at Monroe for a long time, so he know in and out about everything. He treat me like his son. Like I love him like he's my pop.
That's
so
what's
he
up.
do anything for me.
That's all you can ask for your coach, man. All right, so the rules of the show. I'm gonna put the question on the
gotta
screen.
win. They gave you the answer. Just be honest, Shaleak.
No,
They gave you the answer.
I don't even know the questions yet.
He don't even know he don't know the questions. It's all good. Oh, wait. What's this nickname Punch? How'd you get that?
Oh, my uncle gave it to me a long time before he passed away.
Why'd he give it to you? Did you hit him or something?
Nah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
That's that Hawaiian punch. He drank all his Hawaiian punch. And
I just love that. I love that nickname, Shaleak Punch Knotts.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're gonna ask a multiple choice question. You guys pick an answer, and you make sure you beat Sam, so we can make him 3 weeks in a row on his loser streak.
I'll hang it up.
So here we go, Kizzy. Number one.
In 1962, NBA great Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in one game. Which team did Chamberlain play for at the time? A. Philadelphia Warriors. B. Cincinnati Royals. C. Los Angeles Lakers. Or D. St. Louis Hawks.
All right, visitors got to go first, Shaleak. What you got?
I'm gonna go with C.
C, the Lakers. What you got, Sam?
I'm gonna go with A.
Oh, Sam's got the lead.
Oh man,
Sam's got the lead. That's all right.
Sam, was it a guess or did you know?
Don't let me get the lead now.
Was it a guess?
Still.
Did you know it, Sam? Was it a guess?
I kind of knew it was between the two, like A or D. I knew it wasn't Lakers.
All right, Dale.
Okay. You ain't got him intimidated enough yet. In 2004, which player finished second in the Heisman race? The highest ever finish for a freshman. A. Adrian Peterson. B. Reggie Bush. C. Calvin Johnson. D. Darren McFadden.
Coach Griner, you're up.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good one. The answer is A.
Shaleak, what you got?
I'm gonna go with B.
Oh, Shaleak, you digging a ditch, man. That's 2 for Sam.
That's 2.
That's 2, yeah. You gotta put your rally cap. You gotta put your rally cap on. Shaleak.
I told you, man. It's like a switch. I flip this thing around. It's like a switch.
Coach Ham said,
Yeah,
I gotta ask you some. Coach Ham said, I gotta ask you some questions from your generation. I'm leaving you out to dry, Shaleak.
You give me sport questions, I got chances. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Shaleak got fans out there, though. I love it. Shaleak got fans. Let's go, Kinsey.
On January 12th, 1969, which team beat the highly favored Baltimore Colts in one of the biggest upsets in NFL history after their quarterback guaranteed to win? A. Houston Oilers. B. New York Jets. C. Los Angeles Rams. D. Tampa Bay Bucks.
Shaleak, it's on you, sir.
I'm gonna go with C.
C, the Rams. What you got, Sam?
I got the correct answer. It's B, the Jets.
Golly, Sam is killing me this week.
Yeah,
that one was easy.
Hey, let's just shake
Willie
hands.
Joe Namath.
Let's just
Roman Gabriel for the Rams.
I'm just telling you right now, you're going against a dragon right
Sam,
now.
you will not get this next question right. You will not. Dale, let's go.
Dale can't get this answer. So, which rap group is known for their hit single "Stir Fry"? A. Jay-Z. B. Eminem. C, that Migos. D, YBN.
It's on Shaleak.
It's on Shaleak.
Oh, let's see right there.
What you guys saying?
It's C.
Oh, okay, you both got it right. Shaleak, they're telling me that you need to call for a lifeline. We need to add that to the show. Like you can call us for a lifeline.
Are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
come on now.
They say y'all not fair. That's all right. We're gonna make sure he's a permanent friend of the show. He can come back on anytime.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't know the last one. He was just so confident in it.
Yeah, I knew that one.
No, that was
easy.
correct. That was correct. Okay, Kinsey, last question.
In 1987, Whitney Houston's single became her 4th consecutive U.S. #1 hit and her first platinum-selling single. A, I Want to Dance with Somebody. B, I Will Always Love You. C, Just One of Those Days. Or D, Greatest Love of All.
Answer is B.
I was gonna go with B too. 'Cause I know that song.
Ooh, I want to dance.
The answer is yes. The answer is A. You both got it wrong. Yes.
That's not the
Sam ends his losing streak, unfortunately. But Shaleak, man, you've been a great guest, man. I love having you on, man.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it.
Tell me one thing, all right? Since Maryland's heavily involved, obviously if you already got a planned official visit, how big is Scott Chadwick involved? Is he really doing a good job the recruiting phase?
Yeah, he is. We talk every now and then.
Yeah, he talks to me all the time about you, man. He loves you to death. I'm like, well, it's a good one to like.
Yeah, he's a game changer. He's a game changer. Now, Shaleak, I got you on film and I recorded it saying that you're going to come on the show and let us play your announcement video and then put on your hat or whatever you're going to do. I got you on film, so you can't renege. You can't renege, my man. All right?
We can do that.
And make sure you check out the Tar Heels spring game on Saturday.
I'm gonna be there.
All right, there you go.
Hey, I'm sorry about the intimidation with the tank top.
I think it was
that one. Yeah, who came up with the question?
Exactly. Questions, man. There were no young questions.
Last week.
They sports related. I got.
Hey, hold on, Shaleak. What? When you come back, we'll do the game show again. I'll make sure to do more younger questions. I got you next time.
What? There were athletic questions.
I'm gonna win that one then.
The youngest question was like 2004 when I was in high school, man.
I didn't do the
Hey, Shaleak's parents weren't even born in the Joe Namath Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. It's supposed to be one young and one old, so it's supposed to be a combination. I skewed too old. But Shaleak, man, good luck on Friday against Kings Mountain, man. Tim Winters thinks you guys got a real shot to pull a big time W up there, so good luck to you.
Oh yeah, appreciate that.
All right, man. We'll talk to you.
Hey, tell Johnny good luck.
All right, I got y'all. Thank y'all.
All right, man. Take care.
He's a good dude right there, Langston.
Nah, that's a good kid there. He's got a nice personality. He's gonna do well. Grice, they say I did him dirty.
Damn, hey,
can I win?
No, man, they did him dirty.
I did him dirty.
Hey, Sam,
I can tell you that.
You need to help with younger questions.
Sam, what this mean, Sam?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you hold the ball.
What?
4 corners. Sam went 4 corners after he went up one night.
I did. You're
Hey, Sam is better with the lead in Alabama. You hear me?
Baby.
Oh, he gets a 2-0 lead. It's over. It's over.
Oh yeah. If I get the lead, I'm gonna smother them. They ain't got a chance.
Yeah, Sam's holding on to the ball. He's looking at the play clock. He's looking at the shot clock. He's shooting with 1 on the clock.
Sam was really hurting after losing these last 2 weeks. So
I've been studying.
So bad.
I've been doing trivia.
I gotta give him a little bit of leeway because he was struggling a little bit.
So Langston sent him the question.
No, I didn't send him the questions. I did not send the questions.
Langston said, "Think Willie Joe. Think Willie Joe."
No.
He wore white shoes in the game.
No, I didn't do that.
He was. So my mother liked 2 teams. She liked the Jets. Jets was my favorite team at that point in time, and she liked the Rams. Now the Rams had Roman Gabriel, and the Jets had Joe Namath. Both of them good-looking guys. So.
Y'all are scaring me. All right, while I can make this thing work, we're gonna do fresh faces. So I'm gonna play the theme music. I think it's gonna work. I'm crossing my fingers. So we're gonna play the theme music. We'll come back and do fresh faces before this stops working.
Isaiah Trent Butler going second round playoffs. The guy's not gonna get the ball a whole lot, but when he does, he's gonna make you pay for it. 5 receptions in the game, he's gonna get a whole lot of yards, more than an average person would. These are some really great pictures of you, Isaiah. I really enjoy them. Couldn't find your film anywhere though, dude. So we're showing off stats.
Alex Mason Finley out of Cary. Alex, you there?
Alex on mute. That's what's going on.
Oh, he's on. No, he's not.
Did what we all strive to do. He went out in style. His last high school game, 20 total tackles, 9 solo, 11 assisted to even out Cary's season record at 3-3 with a 21-17 win over Athens Drive. If only I had as much style, particularly in my swan song. And hey, Mason won his last high school game. How many people can say that?
That's right. Gotta like that.
That's
That field's been taking the beating, but it's not all waterlogged. But it looks like they're playing baseball on it.
Yeah.
That's the Athens Drive field.
Cleveland, Lennox Martinez. Chris is not here, so this kid's playing on an undefeated team, guys. He's going. They may be playing in the state championship real soon. Got a stud running back in Amari Hampton, and he looks like another good player for them. And Gary, you gotta love these uniforms, man.
Oh yeah.
They look familiar to you.
Can't go wrong with that powder blue.
That's clean. That is clean.
No, he's got some good looking film. I got a chance to look at his film. He plays both ways. He's all over the ball, as you see here. And Cleveland has a really good team, and they ain't no for a reason. They've got great players. All right, we got Jordan McGinnis out of Northern Guilford Dale.
Yeah, these first few highlights we'll see here are really nice. Although this is a different highlight, isn't it? Nice run. The kid's got good vision. You'll see that coming up in the next play, I think, here. I think a good all-around running back.
There's a lot of good running backs. Yeah, a lot of good running backs in the state this year.
Makes a nice move there. Gets free.
The Nighthawks.
Yeah.
Got some speed, too.
He can run.
So Coach Gill could have used this kid a few years ago.
I would take him in a heartbeat.
He's going to the house, fellas. There's nobody catching him.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to Gastonia. We got Corey Adams of Hunter Husk, Gary.
First time I looked at him, the thing that came to mind was Johnny Manziel. He makes a lot of plays with his legs. He's a quarterback. He moves around. They move the pocket a lot. He looks like one of those guys where they tell him, check your first read. If it's not there, tuck it and go.
How about that field? That thing's sexy with the black lines. When it's
I like that in Gaston County a lot. I feel like they do that. I think Burns does it too, maybe.
They got that Bermuda rye mix too.
Yeah.
Good.
I like
it. Quarterback roll out.
I think it looks good.
Throws, way to throw.
It looks great. It's
he
easy
throws
to see.
a lot on the move. He's very good at throwing on the move. I don't know if that's he can see better that way or just what.
All right, Grice. Carson Eld out of Bunker Hill.
Yeah, quarterback a little smaller in stature, 6 foot 175. You do like the fact about him that he's able to he's got a good quick release. Love it if he would I guess that's technically a touchdown pass. That's why we do the push pass with the jet sweep. So I always include all of your your highlights on there. But the thing I like about him is he's got good quick footwork. He's able to get the ball out. A lot of throws you see off his back foot. So a lot of great first progression reads. That's usually a sign that's indicative of a quarterback that's made his mind up, sees an open guy, makes a throw. That one's a great throw just because he's standing in the pocket. Too many quarterbacks get jumpy, want to get out of the pocket. He's kept his eyes downfield, knew he was going to take the hit and still execute a good throw.
Omar Phillips out of Shelby saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing in Shelby at running back, you're a good player, no doubt about it. But this guy's really strong. You can tell the weight room has been his friend. I guarantee he's probably one of the strongest guys on the offense. He probably competes with the O-line, D-line type guys. Look at that ref. Couldn't even keep up with him right there. But, like, they even doing some, wildcat for him because he's a very special athlete.
Nobody touched that dude. He got to the
flag football show.
I mean, he looks like he's a big cat, too. Like, he looks like he's about 6'1", 6'2" range. I mean, he looks very legit.
No, Shelby stays stocked with big time players. I mean, they
all the time.
They won like 9,000 state championships in 9,001 years. So they
the Lions, ain't they?
Yeah, they are the golden. They are the Golden Lions. Got to get the Golden Lions.
Right.
All right, so I deserve a round of applause for making that work.
Hey, first time in 2 weeks. Let's go.
A little glitchy. At least we got it to roll. It's a little glitchy, but
but I'm saying it played. So I mean,
we got to start somewhere.
All right. Our buddy Chris isn't here, but he's sending his videos, so we're going to drop the second Sweet 16 in Charlotte and the Raleigh Sweet 16 right now. Here's Chris from the Magic of Video.
All right, guys, you heard the theme music, so here we are, another Chris's Corner here on Talking Preps. Glad to be with you tonight. We're going to get right in it because we got a lot to talk about. First, we're going to do the second Sweet 16 for the Charlotte Observer. You're going to notice that we've got a lot of big-time teams that lost their games Friday night in the first round, but there's still some exceptional football teams, so they're just going to kind of transition their way down to the second Sweet 16. It's just kind of the way it works. I still think that many of these teams are phenomenal, had great seasons, and you know what? We just want to talk about them here at Charlotte Observer. But here we go. The second Sweet 16. It's going to go a little bit like this. There you see them right there, number 17, Audrey Kell. Had that 44-28 loss against Vance. I really liked the way that they played the Cougars. I thought they hung around very well. Great showing there for Audrey Kell coming in there, number 17. Number 18, Crest, lost a thriller. What a heartbreaking loss right there to Charlotte Catholic, 28-21 coming in there at 18. High Brighton, again, a 13-12 loss to Burns coming in at 19. Olympic, Mallard Creek, we've talked about Mallard Creek all year long. They still could probably have beaten many of the teams that's in the Sweet 16, but just the way they go with the brutalness of the IMEC, it is what it is. But again, great season there for the Mavs coming in this week at 21. 22, Ashe County. Wow, what can you say? Incredible showing. Even in defeat, played Oak Grove, who I think is one of those elite contenders in the 2 AA ranks. 17-12 loss. Great game. A.L. Brown, heartbreaking loss to T.C. Robertson. What an offensive showcase of firepower in that game. We've talked a little bit about some of the top quarterbacks and stuff in the state, and obviously you see T.C. Robertson right there with one of those. So A.L. Brown 23rd, Hickory Ridge 24th, Thomas Jefferson 25th, had a close loss to Murphy. That was 770-plus coaching wins on the field between David Gentry and Jerry Cash. 26 South Point, their season's over. West Lincoln, what a way to hang in there with Mount Pleasant, 21-20. Maiden, Statesville, Watauga, Bunker Hill, North Orlando to the second Sweet 16. They're still in it in the 1A. Keep an eye on the Cavaliers. Really quickly, let's transition here over to the Raleigh News and Observer Sweet 16. No surprise coming in there, number 1, 41-0 victory over Holly Springs. That's Rollsville. 2, same spot, Cardinal Gibbons. 3, Cleveland. 4, Panther Creek jumping a spot, had that huge win over Olympic. Huge credit for Panther Creek. Jumping a spot, Wake Forest had a close nail-biter, barely nipped Millbrook. Clayton, they're still in it. Hillside, Apex Friendship had that tough loss to Pinecrest. Millbrook Princeton had a squeaker of a loss against Holmes. Great season for them. Chapel Hill, they're now out of it. Close loss. Again, another heartbreaker to West Brunswick. And moving on down there, you see them right there. Middle Creek lost to Richmond. Heritage, their season's over. Southern Durham, Green Hope, Leesville Road, they were unable to play this week due to COVID, but they made the final Sweet 16 here in the News and Observer. And guys, for the first Chris's Corner tonight, that is it.
Pretty legit. Look at him. They got him on video rolling.
It's a nice setup, too. I think there was a pool in the background.
Might be true. All right, so I'm used to you doing some great interviews, but it looks like on this list you didn't interview one person, you interviewed 4. Is that right?
Yeah, I went over to Western Guilford, something I want to do with a long time. So, got a chance to do it, got a chance to do something that Alyssa Lang does, somebody I really look up to. So I was really excited about it.
Love it. Well, let's run the tape. I want to see it.
Today we're here with 5 of the seniors from the Western Guilford football team. Why don't you guys each go around and introduce yourself?
I'm Dre. I'm number 2.
I'm Jive, I'm number 7. I play receiver and running back.
I'm Darian. I'm number 3. I play receiver and free safety. I'm Elah. I'm number 1. I play receiver, cornerback, kick return, punt return. Really like offensive player, maybe though.
Okay, and you guys just finished up your season. When you think about the senior season, what comes to mind?
I just think grinding, like
Yeah.
I think us 4 we grinded in the summer like together real hard. Hitting the field every day, mandatory. Yeah.
I think this next question kind of piggybacks off that. You guys have been there for 4 years. When you think Western Guilford football, when you're 40-something, what are the memories that are going to come to mind?
This season.
Yeah. Probably how this is the most crazy season, really. Like, with it being we really only played 5 games, 6, something like that.
It was just crazy how we came from a pandemic and just had to, we still had a chance to prove ourselves.
Yeah, and that COVID season, it's been rough. I know on a lot of teams and losing games. What was that on you guys? Because you guys, you can see it in your hearts that you really wanted to play. What was that feeling like when those games got canceled?
It
hurt. Yeah, for real.
It was like that kept happening. Like they kept doing that with the season, with that we didn't even being, no one was gonna even play. Like they kept pushing it back. It was like
we can only control what we can control. Just keep on working till we play. Yeah. We only played like 5 games. It's like we just not getting started and the season over with. Yeah, and I personally, as a senior myself, I can, I didn't lose my season, but I really want to let you guys know that we're proud of you. You made it this far. We really do appreciate your hard work and ethic. It was a hard season, and I want you guys to know that I care. I'm proud of you. I know everybody on the Talking Preps crew is proud of you. So just in case you guys know, we know it was hard, and that we really are proud.
Thanks.
But Darian, or not Darian, I'll know. Dre, how does it feel to be wrapping up the season?
It don't feel real, really. Like for me being here 4 years, and really is all I have been knowing football here. It just don't feel real to actually, be done with it. But it feels kind of ready. I was kind of ready to, get out of high school and get other stuff started.
Yeah, I feel that the senioritis has come on strong.
Sure.
But this is something, shout out to Alyssa Lang, I watched on SEC Network, which is part of why I wanted to do a group. She does it most likely with the college guys. So I figured, why not do it with the Western Guilford fellows? So guys, who's most likely to forget their helmet?
Elah.
Nah. Wow, for sure.
Who's most likely to win in a pickup basketball game?
Me. Elah.
Me.
Definitely.
Dre.
I actually play basketball.
Dre.
I play basketball.
I play everything.
People like I didn't say nothing.
Who's most likely to make Coach Tyson laugh out loud at practice?
Darren, where he lost.
Yeah, nah. This dude.
Yeah.
He really funny, like real funny.
Funny.
We all funny, really. We like joking around a lot.
Yeah. I bet you guys seem like a fun group. Who's most likely to dunk on one of their teammates?
Me.
You the only one that can dunk.
Yeah, I'm getting there in that. I'm gonna get there.
He got it.
He got it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Who's the only one that can dunk? I mean, he's the only one that can dunk. So he's the only one that can say.
You don't want to get dunked on someone.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
They could be in the dunking on cats. They could be on anything.
Hey, Griner, have you dunked before? Have you ever dunked before, Griner?
All right, Grice, we're going to talk about these playoff games coming up. But before we talk about the playoff games coming up, we got to talk about the best players from last week. So let's go to Grice's Gems.
Sorry, I had to get that one in there. But hey, it's Grice's Gems time, the playoff edition. So we had to start, Chris Hughes talked about North Rowan, their first entry into the second Sweet 16. A big reason for that was Zay Davis out of that North Rowan team. A 66-26 win, big-time first-round win over Community School of Davidson. In North Rowan, a big reason for that victory was the interception of 6 passes. Zay Davis actually had 3 of those picks, turned around on the other side of the ball and had 156 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So it was a big win for that crew. I follow some of the coaches on Twitter and talk with them. They're really excited, and I think they've got a great run. And we'll also, we'll look at their next week's game here shortly in the next segment. But Zay Davis figures to be an important factor in that.
Yeah, looks like a good player and a good team.
I love the smaller schools where the guys play both ways. I mean, those are definitely attractive Grice's Gems nominees when you do things on both sides of the ball. Let's move forward. North Davidson, so getting the 1 seed in their playoffs. Tedrick Jenkins, a quarterback. You guys know I love a great quarterback. 16 of 25 passing and 205 yards with 2 touchdowns. Dual threat guys, he carried the ball 12 times for 90 yards and a rushing touchdown in a big win, 40-14 over Canton-Pisgah High School. And here's some of his highlights here. But love that with North Davidson. I mean, like I said, they've got a great chance to go far. Expect them, and we'll talk about them here shortly. But definitely, these teams in the playoffs making these big plays, you got to go to your key guys. And he looks like he's the key guys, the trigger man for this team.
Yeah, definitely.
Another one of those Bermuda fields. I love that look.
He's a lefty too, isn't he?
And rolling the opposite way, it looks like that was a really good throw there.
That's that Trey Lance throw. Everybody's going crazy about.
Right. You don't see too many lefties like that. All right, next, hey, we got to keep it here in the city. Everybody wondered what was going to happen without Drake May. This guy, Lucas Lindhoff, has been key for Myers Park this year. Completed 14 of 18 passes for 327 yards. And Sam, a school record 7 touchdowns, meaning not even Drake May did this. 7 touchdowns in the playoffs and a 63-22 win over Northwest Guilford. Broke Drake May's record of 6. He had 6. But Lucas
and they took him out in the third quarter. They took him out in the third quarter.
And he took him out. But I think, that's been great. I mean, again, everybody talks about the job Mark Harmon's done. We talked about it being more of a run game. Looks like Northwest tried to take that away. Lucas had to show you that he could still throw the ball and get that down the field. So kudos to Harmon for being flexible. Again, a great coaching job by that staff, showing you they can do a lot. I mean, you see all these guys in the box. They're showing you real quick that they can get the ball out there for some one-on-one opportunities. Looks like Northwest wanted to do that. They lost.
Coach Harmon is definitely a candidate for the Coach of the Year.
Without a doubt. But, like I said, having a guy like this, it helps you when you lose Drake May. You bring in a guy like Lucas Lindhoff, he's going to make you do well. School record 7 touchdowns. That's great to see.
Grice, these dudes are wide open, though.
I mean, I agree. But, again, we talked about, you talked all year about them being a running team. I think Northwest got that memo, and you got a lot of one-on-one opportunities. If you don't win those, there's nobody there to help you.
He looks like 707.
Yes, it does. So we talk about Alonzo Barnett for Greensboro Grimsley, my hometown. Let's talk about Jael Melton. In a 27-13 win over two-time state champion East Versailles, big win. Melton was key there as he ran 27 times for 146 yards and a touchdown. You know, we talk about Alonzo Barnett. He just got an offer from my alum, North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University. He threw 2 touchdowns, and key stat here, has not thrown an interception since week 1 of the season, the beginning of the season, Griner. You got a QB that doesn't throw picks, you got a great chance to win. I know it's a John Madden quote, but it's real.
That's real. That's real.
Here's Chris's guy. This is Chris's guy right here.
Oh, Chris calls him the best quarterback in the state. You see that wonderful turf field with A.L. Brown? He led Roberson to his first playoff win in 14 years, beating A.L. Brown in the rematch this year. Score was still high, 36-29. Whitson completed 25 of 41 passes for 261 and ran 19 times for 121 yards.
That's
and
383
funny stat here. Right? You said what?
That's 383 yards if I count right by one dude.
I think you counted right. And the crazy stat here, due to a season-ending injury to the kicker, he literally was kicking PATs. So every single point he accounted for. So he threw a touchdown, then kicked the extra point. So that's something rare that we don't see too often. And he had 2 two-point conversion passes. I love, that's a big thing for me with Grice's Gyms. I love guys that are versatile to do a lot of stuff. He said he can do everything. He can throw it. He can kick it. He can do whatever he needs to. He can run it. So, again, we like to have guys like this in the playoff edition of Grice's Gyms. You ball, you're going to get the call. It's simple that way. So, as we get to these big-time games,
you got to like that. Now, Sam, I know we're going to talk
about coaching now. He's not on NFL Network. I can take that.
We're going to talk about the Heisman later on, but you've been high on those defensive dudes. I mean, this guy's going nuts, man.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. So, like I said, Brody's the guy that's got that he's going to admit.
Man, I mean, he's a good player. All right, he's a real good player, but the caliber of those defensive guys are elite. Elite.
I mean, I agree with you there, but I'm
gonna let y'all fight it out when we get down to it, but we got to cut down to 8 later on. All right, let's talk about the playoffs. Let's start with the 1A Grice and
it's hard being Chris Hughes, man. We're gonna miss Chris Hughes, but somebody's got to pick up the job here. So definitely want to look at the 1A bracket here. I think one of the interesting matchups here is Pamlico County at Pinetown Northside. So these teams actually played 18 days ago, and Pamlico actually won 50-48. Woo. I mean, I got to check that game again. Pamlico has had a pretty good year. The only losses they have are to Princeton and Tarboro, which is no shame in that at all. But that's a game I have highlighted down east, which a lot of people aren't looking at. I want to see that score. That's going to be one of the best games.
Are both the same defense coordinator still there in this game?
I think they are, Grant. I haven't seen anything come out that says they're not there, but I think that's going to be interesting. But flipping it over to the west, we've got Murphy and Elkin. The Elkin Elks, I love their mascot. Outside of a 43-13 loss to Ashe County, who won that conference and who was actually in 2A, they've been dominant. They haven't had a loss to anyone else. They've mowed through the rest of their schedule. And again, they're playing Murphy's perennially a powerhouse. Number 5 ranked per Max Preps in 1A. They're finished second in that tough Smoky Mountain 1A. So I think this is going to be a key matchup here on the west side. And then again with Mitchell and Robbinsville. Mitchell's the number 3 team, and they like I said, they beat Murphy. Key wins over 2A teams, Statesville and Forest Hill. So you've got a lot of 1A teams that have played some big time competition. And of course, Beargrass charted the same way. I think they're going to be tough as well to handle. Only lost to Pine Lake Prep. And talking with Coach Trotter, he thought they were one of the toughest opponents he faced all year. So you've got some heavyweight matchups here.
Who's your favorite to win the 1A? Robinsonville?
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I think that Mitchell team is really going to be, somebody that you got to deal with. But we'll move forward to 1AA. You got some great teams here. I mean, you look at that Tarboro and John and Holmes matchup. You got, 2 great powers meeting. Tarboro's giving up less than 8 points per game. Holmes giving up almost less than 2 touchdowns a game. Something's got to happen. What is it when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Somebody's got to come reign supreme here. I mean, I've got my money on Tarboro, but it will not be easy this week. And then on the flip side, I think it's funny with East Carteret and Lewisburg. You got both of those teams. East Carteret's averaging 42 points per game and Lewisburg averaging 38. So it's a contrasting styles in the East where you see some great defensive teams with a couple teams on the other end that are planning to throw it up. From the west side, I mean, Pine Lake Prep, we talked again, I love Coach Trotter. I think if we're talking 1A ball, he's probably, your coach of the year. I mean, turn that program around with some great stars and great guys there. Trent Loman at East Surrey. I mean, those guys, Coach Marion on the defensive side, he's going to have his hands full with dealing with Vic Garrido. So I'm excited to see this matchup, to see if Pine Lake Prep's ready to take that big step there. Did a great job last week over Mount Airy with a narrow victory. That's going to be the game to see what we, to see who makes it to this semifinal match.
Wow,
and we talked about North Rowan too with the Grice's gyms. I like them a lot, and I mean it's going to be an explosive semifinal to whoever makes it.
That 1AA bracket looks pretty cool, pretty special. Like some really good teams down there.
It's stout for sure.
All right, let's go to 2A.
All right, 2A. I mean, we know again, from the west side. I mean, Shelby at Hendersonville. I mean, I think Shelby's really doing everything they can to try and repeat. Had some tough games this year, but they've got a great path there. I mean, I think that they should be okay with Hendersonville, but Mount Pleasant, as we saw in that the second Sweet 16, I think if I'm not mistaken, or if it didn't creep up all the way, I may be spoiling that, but Mount Pleasant's had a great year so far, and I mean, I think while not overlooking Mountain Heritage, I think Shelby and Mount Pleasant seem poised for an explosive semifinal matchup there. You look at that east side. I mean, Reedsville, their game against Wallace Rose Hill. I mean, you talk about the titans of the programs in the 2A and down east. Those two teams are ones that you mentioned all the way. So I like Reedsville a lot here on that east side. But again, Wallace Rose Hill isn't a team that's going to be afraid of Reedsville. Isn't a team that's going to be, afraid to try to take them off the major upset.
Okay, all right, and let's go to 2AA. Let me get it on the screen. There you go.
When we look at 2AA here, I mean, we talk about North Davidson and Oak Grove. I like, some of the creative matches when you look at 1 and 2A, a lot of stuff going on. So, North Davidson just beat Oak Grove 11 days ago, 17-3. So again, seeing games like this and having a rematch happen, similar to how we talk about, Huff and Vance, as we'll allude to later, wondering how teams are going to deal with that, with that rematch coming back. We talk about Salisbury and Burns looking there. I mean, both teams had huge upset victories in that first round. Burns with their big upset victory over High Brighton.
Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Chris.
Salisbury got that big time linebacker coming back too, so they're going to be hitting the stride.
Yeah, he did mention that, and I think they're going to be a tough out to handle. Burns the same way. And I mean, Burns has only lost to Shelby and Chris. Anytime you have a team that you can say that about, and they weren't major, big losses, they're going to be a tough out for anybody. I mean, so Salisbury, if they want to get back to that state championship, they're going to have to really earn it on that west side. And then the east side, again, I like these east side matchups because you either have teams that like to put up a whole bunch of points or teams that don't give up points at all. This Washington and Croatan game is that. I mean, when you talk about Washington averaging, 40 points per game, Croatan averaging a very similar thing, I've got to literally look and keep my NFHS up because I feel like they're going to put up about 80, 90 points this weekend.
Good Lord. 80 or 90?
I mean, you talk about between the team. I mean, we saw a 50-48 matchup, within the 1A bracket. I think you may have something similar.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Hold on a minute. We're at 3A now, right?
Yeah, we're at 3A.
All right, let me get 3A. I gotta make sure I don't want to put the reason why I pause. I don't want to put the wrong one. Here we go, 3A.
I mean, you see on the on the east side again. How many times do you see Eastern Alamance, Western Alamance? Again, that not being too far away from me. Matchup, and of course the Havelock 8-0 right there looms large as I think they're the favorites out of the East. But we have to look at the West. I mean, who isn't waiting for a Charlotte Catholic Kings Mountain rematch?
Didn't they go 7
AC Reynolds and Monroe have something to say about that. But my thing always with Catholic, even though they looked a little shaky earlier. I mean, I thought that they played well against Weddington, but again, seeing the 3 points was
but Grice, you know what Catholic is? Catholic is Rajon Rondo from the NBA. He's like one dude in the regular season, and then he's another dude in the postseason. That's Catholic. Catholic turns into a different animal in the postseason, particularly.
They are. Right. Well, and you talk about AC Reynolds as well. I mean, you see how well, AC Reynolds' only loss was 23-0 to RJ Kell, I think it was. And I mean, we see how well that RJ Kell played against Vance. You can't use the transitive property of algebra too much, but you really see that they're a tough team. And I mean, everybody around here wants Catholic Kings Mountain Part 2. But I just really want to
upset alert. Monroe, don't sleep on them, man. They play tough competition this year.
I like to see
All right. AA, here we go.
So we go 3AA. I mean, goodness, I really don't think we have a bad matchup. I mean, Coach Hickman out there is doing a great job with West Brunswick, friend of the show.
Yes.
I really like him to get Clayton there. I mean, Clayton has only lost to Cleveland, as we know, and I mean that Lee County Cleveland matchup. I mean that's going to be one where I hope that they're going to test the governor's capacity limits out there. I mean, you know, I think Hampton's out for that game with Cleveland. You know, Haskell High has been recognized, but I mean Lee County is always tough. They're trying to get back again to get another piece of Weddington. We flip it over to the West. Man, Dudley is 3 points away from being undefeated. To me, they're the three AA Butler. If you look at their schedule, they lost by 3 to Tabor, and they just completely destroyed everybody else in front of them. They'll have to face a tough team in TC Roberson with Whitman, but it's going to be an interesting game.
He's going to throw.
We know Weddington. I mean, I think Tabor's going to have to be perfect to beat Weddington out of that West. But you talk about a Lee County or Cleveland versus a Clayton or West Brunswick and maybe a potentially Dudley Weddington.
Can you talk to me about a Cleveland Western State Championship game? Can you talk about that?
That would be amazing. I mean, I think, I don't know. Hopefully Hampton's able to go there. I don't know if he's able.
He's playing. I mean, Chris said he's playing. So, I mean, I hope he's playing.
If he's playing, I mean, I think you talk about, you big power. You had Will Shipley in the game last year. Amari Hampton is probably another one with high power and really,
All right, Gary is mad because he doesn't know anything about these other classifications. So, Gary, we're coming to stuff you know about. Go ahead, Grice.
We're getting there, Gary. Hey, I'll start with that Hillside Grimsley game. I really think this Grimsley team is going to be one to watch out for. Getting over that hurdle of beating, East Forsyth, the rain kind of 4 single A, kind of state holder, kind of owner of the division. Grimsley's the one to watch out for a lot coming from the 336 area. But we got Angry Butler. They're the originators of the Angry team. They lost to Rice Park, and they've just been determined to beat everyone else down.
No respect, Butler. They feel like
they've been ready to beat everyone else down, and you got a great coaching staff over there. I love what Coach Wortham do, but they're going to have to change their matchup this week. You come out there talking junk and going with some of the strategies as they have weeks past. I don't know if that's the path.
Sam, that's your alma mater, Butler. Hales has a tell. When he's real calm and cool and not really excitable, he knows he has something special. And this year he's been real calm, cool, not excitable. Just, everything's just, gravy and cupcakes. So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he does a great job. But see, a lot of people don't know that one of their greatest hires, they were always pretty good offensively. They're able to stop people more than they've done in the past. They're really, really good. It's like the Shaughnessy days. Last time they won the state championship, Shaughnessy was the defense coordinator. Guess who they got at the defense coordinator from Mountain Creek? Stone's phenomenal defense coordinator. So I think it has a lot to do with that side of the ball as well.
Grice, Sam is saying a lot of nice things about coaches this week. What's up with that, man?
All right, I always have a pep talk, have a conversation before here. We make sure we're always in a good headspace ready for the week. But Langston, if you could put that back up, because I think I'm not going to have Brian Till come on here without talking about Richmond County.
Oh, my bad. Hold on.
Because I'm not getting him or any.
No, we don't want Brian Till getting mad at us. No.
But I think that's been kind of like emblematic of the Richmond County season. They played 4 games. We really haven't had a lot to talk about. Are they that team that beat Pinecrest by 7 early in the year, or are they going to get in their stride and become dominant like the Richmond County team we know? I mean, I think that's been, honestly, that was funny that happened, because that's what it is. I'm looking forward to seeing them in a big game, as they haven't been in one yet. But I mean, they're a team, of course, you have to watch out for, and them being in 4 single A. I mean, like you went through expecting them to see 4 double A.
Absolutely, I thought they were going to go to the 4 AA state final. Alex, you're going to cover this game. You worked at Cardinal Gibbons for 9,000 years. Tell me, what do you think is going to happen here?
It's a great opportunity for 2 tradition-rich programs. It's a great. It's great that we're going to get to see this game, which was scheduled to be played on September 11th. And I want to watch for a couple of things in this game. Both the Raiders and the Crusaders will feature new quarterbacks relative to this year. Kellen Hood, obviously the younger brother of Caleb Hood, who has gone on to UNC. So he'll be under center for the Raiders. And Connor Clark, a very talented sophomore, who is the successor to Andrew Harvey, who is a preferred walk-on at NC State now. So both underclassmen quarterbacks, new quarterbacks, will be interesting to see two very, very good quarterbacks. So watch for great leadership from both of them. Also, will be very neat to see what we see defensively from both of these teams. Both teams can score points. We all know that. Richmond showed its high octane balance last week in its win over Middle Creek. But I'd like to see what we see defensively.
Where has that game been played, Alex?
It's at Cardinal in Raleigh. I'll be there on Friday.
Okay.
And look for a tremendous opportunity for a breakout defensive performance or another stellar defensive performance from Cardinal Gibbons' defense with defensive coordinator Nick Drew, who was one of the top defensive coordinators in the state. And
the over-under is 50. I'm taking the over. The over-under is 60. I'm taking the over.
Wow.
Just saying. All right, Grice, tell me about
it.
Tell me about 4AA, Grice. Let's start with the East.
I mean, you've got some great programs here. I think Pinecrest has really emerged this year. After we talked about that close loss to Richmond County, they've really come on. I mean, Wake Forest. Some of these traditional powers have been sleepy as far as their ranks. Wake Forest, I think, was ranked 5th, wasn't it? And they've continued to show and become dominant. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wake Forest, definitely in the regional final. Wouldn't be surprised to see them beat Hoggard. I mean, Hoggard's had a great year so far. Roseville, we talked about the QB there that's been pretty successful. But that East to me is such a grab bag without the traditional Richmond County there, without seeing some of the major programs that we've seen in the past. So I'm excited. I think it's probably the most, the biggest free for all on that side. Where we look at the West. I mean, it's still the Fight Club. You get through that first week, it's still the Fight Club. Vance Huff, Myers Park, about what you expected. I hate Olympic couldn't pull through, but shout out to Panther Creek for a big win. I mean, they're undefeated. That Panther Creek Myers Park game, I think the first 5 minutes are going to tell a lot.
Can Panther Creek come to Charlotte and pull the upset?
No,
I don't think so.
No. They're not beating that Myers Park team.
No.
Alex, what do you think, Mr. Eastern expert?
I think you're going to see it's a tremendous opportunity to see someone like Amari Odom, the Panther Creek sophomore quarterback, to emerge on this kind of a stage. I think we'll see what he was able to show and being able to be effective as a runner and a passer last week. I think we have to realize that Panther Creek it's a team where Amari Odom, he transitioned quickly from basketball, first-year starting quarterback, so still is learning the intricacies of that offense. A sophomore, but a very gifted, talented, and cerebral athlete who has shown that he can thrive on this stage and certainly will be prepared for that experience. I think Coach Sean Crocker, has his catamounts in the right frame of mind for what could be an opportunity to show how competitive Wake County football can be. And I think everyone knows it will be a formidable challenge, but an opportunity for which the Catamounts will be prepared.
He said all that to say that he'll be taking AP calculus against that Myers Park defense. Hope and study.
All right, Grice, before I have you break down the game of the week, game of the year, game of the whatever, I just got to go to my girl Kenzie, because I know you probably still in your high.
One shot, baby.
From before. But one shot, Kenzie. Tell us about Vance Huff, the rematch, and tell us why Huff can pull it off.
Man, I forgot there was other games this week. It's a big game. There's a lot of talk going on. There's a lot of talk the first game. There's a lot of talk this game. Huff's definitely come with more trash talk this time around. Vance is going to have to play a clean game. I think they've struggled with penalties. I think that Huff defense moves around a lot. I think they have a lot of talent, but I think it's really going to come down to the little team because they're both great teams. And, it's who's going to be able to stay the most calm. Things got a little heated last time. They're going to get heated this time. It's going to be a big game. Lots of people there. It's going to be a show. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a movie. All right. So in the interest of fairness, I'm going to go to Gary, who's going to be our resident Vance person. Gary, Vance has had almost 40 penalties in the last 2 weeks.
Go back a couple of weeks before that. It started with the Lake Norman game. So you had Lake Norman, you had Huff, then you had Audrey Kelly had a lot of penalties. And you start to wonder, we all picked Vance at the beginning of the year because talent-wise, they still have the best team in North Carolina, talent-wise. But coaching counts for something. And to continuously get over 100 yards in penalties week after week after week. It gives you pause. And I want to ask Sam or Grice, one of the old sayings is either you're teaching it or you're allowing it. So what's going on with the penalties advance?
Hold on, Sam. Really careful. Go ahead.
Man, y'all see, I've been very poised all day today. Tell them, Grice, I took my medicine. I'm ready to roll.
All right, here you go, Sam. One shot.
Yeah, they're doing a great job over there, Advance. I mean, you got to think about it. A lot of personalities, a lot of emotion that goes on there. They play with the most emotion out of any team, so that comes with penalties sometimes. Now, the pre-snap and post-snap penalties, they have to be disciplinary. If they limit the pre-snap penalties, no snapping issues. I think they're really working the punt scenario because they know that punting is going to be a key. They're going to work on the snapping. Those type of things, their special teams hold up because their kicker's really good, but if their special teams hold up, it's going to be a great game, really great game.
Grice, I want to ask you because one thing I've noticed about Vance kind of reminds me of Mallard Creek during their run. After they won and they were trying to get back again, I always thought they kind of maybe got a little too cute sometimes when they should just line up behind the center and just run because nobody can stop Hollywood. But I don't think he gets enough chances to go straight ahead so often. Mm-hmm. I think they kind of run east and west a lot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times people don't understand when you have such a great team, how hard it is to get kids to be fully locked in for a 4-quarter experience. You have so many games this year where you didn't have Vance having to worry about a second half situation. You didn't have them to have their starters really play 4 quarters a lot. I mean, you look at Huff, and honestly, the game with us against Huff, where it was 7-0 early, I think that was their eye opener to where it's a point of they had to realize even through adverse conditions, we need to continue to work to get better. And I think they refocused and you saw them play a lot better the rest of the year. This was Vance's reckoning. I think when you get through these games, you win by 42 and 50 points, even as coaches, you want to say that, hey, we're going to focus, we're going to make things, we're going to highlight on those details and make us great. You still, even as humans, you get to that point where you're relaxed because you can do enough to win and those other things become negotiable. When it comes to a game where it bites you in the butt and you really have to really fix those things, I think now that becomes a thing. Do you refocus and change up and make a lot of adjustments? Or do you put yourself in the same situation where you're just going to focus on what you've been doing? I think that they've really kind of taken that focus and really worked to fix those things. But I like to, look back at for example, last year, the Vance Mallard Creek game, that first game, and then you look at the rematch in the playoffs. So I caution people on thinking that, what happened in the first game is going to be something that's going to happen in the same game. I think that Vance is going to do a lot better when it comes to the mistakes. I think they're going to really take advantage and be a lot more focused than they were the first game. We just have to see if Huff can maintain that same level of execution. That's also the side that you look at. We look at Tad Hudson and he's a great quarterback, but we have seen some games where turnovers have come to bite him. They haven't hurt Huff, but like we talked about in playoffs, mistakes magnify. You look at the Mallard Creek game where they win 35 to nothing or whatever the score was, beat down. He still had 3 or 4 turnovers that they were able to overcome. That happens in this kind of game where he steps back and doesn't, give an A+ performance. This could be a very different result.
Dale, game 1, Huff really didn't move the ball that well against the Vance defense. Vance gave them 3 touchdowns on special teams. They had 1 long run from McWilliams at the end, but other than that, they really didn't do much. If Vance can clean it up, what should Huff fans look for to give them hope that they can win? Is that a bad question?
Control himself. Oh my gosh!
I don't mean it in a bad way.
I know.
What I'm saying is, if Vance can slow them down again defensively, let me rephrase. If Vance can slow them down defensively, what can Huff do differently to try to offset that this time? If Vance doesn't make those mistakes,
yeah.
Is that better? Is that better? Okay, all right.
That's better. I think from what I saw and what I saw this past Friday night, Vance didn't play Vance football in the last game. The whole thing with the altering the cadence really threw that team off. And what I saw Friday night, they played Vance football, and that meant that they didn't have the pre-snap penalties. They snapped well on their punts, and those were the 2 big things that hurt them in that Huff game. So I think that what Huff's going to have to do to win this game, they're going to have to find ways to disrupt Vance because I think Vance is going to be a lot more focused than they were in the past game. And they do know what they need to do, and that's to come out and play Vance football. The only penalties that they really had this past Friday night were kind of penalties I can somewhat accept, which are aggressive penalties, overplay type penalties. There were very few undisciplined penalties. So they play that kind of football. It's Huff's going to have to find a way to disrupt them.
Game one, Huff really caused Vance a lot of problems. Julian Rollins and big boy Curtis Neal were just living in the backfield, Grice. What can Vance do? And I'm going to give their fans hope. Go back to my hope thing to slow those guys down.
I mean, when you're preparing for such a guy that's as tough as like a Curtis Neal, like I said, the Rollins kid, I mean, their whole D-line that, is so exceptional. I mean, you got to do things. I mean, we talk about the adjustment of the snap count. That's something you want to throw them off. I mean, you want to, give him different looks as far as, making him, get blocked from different places. So you talk about, running to him, running away from him, guys maybe potentially cutting him, to try to slow him down. So there are things that you can do, but again, at the end of the day, you've got to be able to execute. So you talk about, tempo and adjusting that. Those are some of the things that come to mind, and some of the things we saw Vance try to execute in the first game. I think you keep a lot of, those same things in the game plan, but I think Vance will be better prepared to do that. And again, if you are able to, you kind of want to go away from him and let him just kind of chase everything down.
All right, Alex, 30 seconds. What do you got?
It's not a matter of keeping hope alive here. Now, you see, one problem that a lot of people have in these situations is, why is it so much about what Vance didn't do in the first game? How about what Huff did?
No, I just said that there are two defensive guys lived in the backfield. I just said that.
These are two very, very good teams.
Yes.
This is going to be a great game. But ultimately, and who knows what's going to happen in this game, but as for the last game, look at what Huff did. And let's just hope that the outcome of this game is about what someone does, not what the other team didn't do.
All right, final thoughts, Gary. Give you the last word.
Well, I think if Vance pays attention to detail, I think that they will win a very tight game. Huff's had some playmakers. I really was impressed with how their quarterback stood in there against Vance's pressure. But they're going to have to keep hitting him. They had 2 sack fumbles in the first game, and whichever team doesn't turn the ball over, I think we'll have the best chance of winning. If it's based on talent, then that's Vance. But they got to clean up the things that they didn't do well the first game. And Huff, they know the talent level of Vance, and of course they got to counter some of the things that Vance does. So the 2 good coaching staffs. That's the big.
No. Both teams are very well. Good. Vance's talent is scary when that's like they were playing Providence. It was like there was one team playing, and all of a sudden it was like, I mean, and you just saw these dudes like it was like they hit a different gear or something. I was like, that's scary. Like how good
36
they can
points and a half.
But Kenzie's guy, Huddy Dimes, like you said, Tad Hudson, the quarterback, very impressed with him. He stood in there and faced the music. Absolutely. Go ahead, Sam. What'd you say?
If he wants to make a bigger name for himself, even though he's already got a big name, but Huddy Dimes, I mean, he needs to win this type of game and then take Huff to their first state championship down the road if he wants to do that. And I think
here we go. Look at Kenzie. Kenzie's going to be uncontrollable next week.
Well, here's the thing: like a lot of people are not giving. I mean, you're giving credit to the D line. The D line is the best D line in the state. Let's don't get that twisted. Like they are the best unit in the entire state.
Which D line?
Huff's D line. Now, Vance's D line is probably the second best, but
I was blown away by Neal and Rollins blew me away the last game. They were
last game. They've been doing it all year. What Sam said.
That's the first time I've seen Huff. But they were incredible, absolutely incredible. All right, so we had the second Sweet 16. We had the Raleigh Sweet 16. Let's see who Chris has in the Charlotte Observer Sweet 16.
All right, guys, back here for Chris's Corner number 2. We got the first one out of the way, the second Sweet 16, the Raleigh News and Observer Sweet 16. Now it's time for the big deal, the main event, the Charlotte Sweet 16, the rankings of North Carolina. Been going on forever, and here we go. Let's get to it going into round 2 of the high school football season here. The spring season here for 21. Number 1, no surprise. They were number 1 last week, number 1 again this week, had a 43-15 victory over Green Hope. That is Kenzie's Huff Huskies. So Huff coming in there number 1. Vance had a close one, had a little bit of a nail biter, but coming in still number 2. Vance, Weddington right there, dominated 42-0 victory over Asheville. Still number 3. Myers Park number 4. What a 63-18 win over Northwest Guilford. Butler coming in there number 5. Dominant. Let's say it one more time. Dominant performance over Glenn. We've seen that Glenn team be so good all year long. Butler, Coach Brian Hales, he said it. This team, I think they're full of a bunch of dogs. Let's just say it again one more time. Full of a bunch of dogs. Butler doing a great job, kind of going up with a bullet. The way the brackets shape up, I could see them going a long, long way in this 4A bracket. Right there, number 6, Richmond County, 51-27 victory over Middle Creek. First time they've played in a while. Maybe they shook off the rust and got themselves ready for this week, but the Raiders look good. I think they're going to keep on going. Kings Mountain coming in there, number 7. Charlotte Catholic, number 8. Wow, talk about last year, the 7 overtime game, and look who's playing again this week. Kings Mountain and Catholic coming up. Man, it's going to be a good one. Sorry, I'm not going to be there to see it. But man, Providence there, number 9, 44-34 victory over a tough, scrappy Hickory Ridge team. That's a strong victory for Providence. Good job to them. Coming in number 9, cracking the top 10 again. They've been out for a while, but I think we all knew that when it kind of got down to nitty-gritty time, Shelby would be right back there in it. Number 11, Burns. Again, Cleveland County. What can we say, guys? Burns coming in there, number 11, had a big victory, 13-12 over High Brighton. Mount Pleasant, they were in the second Sweet 16 last week. They've elevated up to the big boys now, undefeated, had that big win over West Lincoln. Coach Mike John's guys always seem to get it done in the late playoff rounds. Whatever it is in the water down there in Mount Pleasant, maybe it's at Whataburger number 13, but man, they always seem to get it done in playoff time. 13, Salisbury, crushing victory over Maiden Friday night. Jalen Walker, now the Georgia commit, he's finally healthy. So Salisbury's a team that's really looking up. Remember, guys, they played Shelby in the state championship game last year. The Hornets seem to be clicking on all cylinders. So keep an eye out for them. Number 14, Monroe, Coach Johnny Sal's Red Hawks had that big victory over Statesville Friday night, cracking the Sweet 16 again. It's been a long time since we've seen them in there, but man, welcome back. It's always good to see the Red Hawks back in the Sweet 16. Always one of those traditional teams that has just had some great years, success over the years. Coming in at number 15, hey, I'm almost sure, Langston, we need to double check, but this is the first time I think that Pine Lake Prep has cracked the Sweet 16. I may be wrong, but congrats to Pine Lake Prep. Had the convincing win over Mount Airy. That's a huge shocker of a win in the 1A ranks. But Pine Lake Prep undefeated. Well done. And finally, number 16, guys, we've talked about it year round. They're out of the playoffs, but they're still right there in the Sweet 16. We all know how strong this team was. Coach Jonathan Oliphant, everybody up there in the IMAC, the Lake Norman Wildcats, still hanging on in the Sweet 16. And, I don't want to talk about consolation prizes or moral victories, but Lake Norman belongs. So, guys, there you go. That's the Charlotte Sweet 16 for this week. We'll see you again next week to talk about going into round 3. See you guys.
Well, Chris is right. That's just the first time Pine Lake Prep has been in the Sweet 16. I believe in football or basketball. So congratulations to those guys. At the wide receiver on the Monday Morning Conversations week, had like 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Really impressive. But it's time for One's Got to Go, and I'm going to get out of the way and let Alex take it over.
Second round of the high school football playoffs this Friday in stadiums everywhere. 2 teams are going to step on the field, and one of them's got to go. But before then, another round of one's got to go. So our first round here, what's got to go? CMS facilities in terms of most important. The most important. What is it? Kenzie, start us off.
Wait, so like one's got to stay?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
What's the most important? We've got to have this above all else.
Okay. I would say rubber tracks. I just feel like that, you can't have a dirt track. We could have a dirt track, but, maintenance wise, that seems like kind of a necessity.
Dale?
Did you say that? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
No problem.
Turf fields has got to stay. So many sports play on them, field damage. I think turf fields have to stay.
Gary?
Turf field for the same reasons that Dale said, but also because you can rent your stadium out to youth leagues throughout the summer and on the weekend, and maybe you raise enough revenue through the rental process that you can afford to fix your track or afford to get a field house. I think turf fields are the most important.
All right, I'm gonna put the athletics administrator's hat on and say I'm not looking to do a whole lot of renting out of the turf field and the rubber track, but I am going to keep the stadium field house. The reason being because the turf field and the rubber track won't keep you dry, and they won't keep you safe when as Garth Brooks says, when the thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. And I'm sending the boys and girls inside to safety as part of my emergency management plan. So the field house has to stay. All right, moving right along to number 2 here. What's got to go? Now, once again, which one has to go this time? AAU with travel hoops, non-scholastic 7-on-7 in football, or the summer baseball league, high school summer baseball league? What has to go? Gary, start us off.
All right, Grice, this is for you. Non-scholastic 7-on-7. And it's for one reason and one reason only. College coaches can't watch. They're not allowed to attend unless it's on their campus.
Unless they have a son that participates.
Huh?
I said, or unless they have a son that participates. Brett
Unless
Bill
they have a son that
got
participates.
there, yeah.
That's different. That's a
Ways around it.
technicality. But I always feel like if parents are going to spend that much money traveling around the country to see their kids play, I want them to play in front of scouts, so that, because they're paying money on the front end, and really the purpose of paying all that money on the front end is to get something on the back end. And I think that is not applicable to non-scholastic. Playing for your school team, 7-on-7, team camps, weekly events against local other 7-on-7 schools, I think that's great. But the non-scholastic 7-on-7, it's got to go.
Dale.
I think for the exact same reasons. The 7-on-7. The AAU and baseball's been around for a long time. It's an investment. The kids are looked at in those venues, but the 7-on-7 stuff, this non-scholastic part of it, at least, they are not. One of the things I don't like about it is some of the organizations make it sound like they are. They're going to be playing on college campuses and this and that, but I don't think all that comes to fruition as much as advertised. That one would have to go as things stand today.
Kenzie.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I played travel softball for years, and I was never seriously looked at by college. I feel like I was cheated out of my money now that I'm listening to y'all. I'm kidding. Ridiculous. I'm not a D1 athlete. Paid for that. No, but for me, I think non-scholastic 7-on-7's got to go because I couldn't get rid of, travel baseball, travel softball with the amount of memories that I've made with my teammates there. AAU travel basketball, kind of same thing. I feel like there's a lot of memories, a lot of time spent with that. Not that you don't get that in 7-on-7, but I feel like it's a different kind of thing. And I've never played 7-on-7, but just the atmosphere seems a little bit different than a baseball tournament or an AAU basketball tournament. You aren't having to sit around and wait, and just like die in the heat with your teammates. But I've never played 7-on-7, so I'll leave that up to the experts. But for me, 7-on-7's got to go.
I'm going to tip my hat to Jonathan Grice's comment in the chat, and I'm going to echo what Kenzie just said. That yes, a lot of memories have been made because of AAU travel basketball, and there are a lot of bad memories. A lot of bad memories. And Langston, this one's for you. Just like I did with Trey, and like I'll do with Kamani, I'll come watch them play. But other than that, AAU travel hoops have to go. I got a problem with any organization that purports itself to be about an educational operation and is anything but that. We could go on all night about how I feel about AAU travel basketball, and Langston, chime in if you want to. But other than watching Kamani Wirtz now, if I never again see an AAU or travel basketball event in person, then it will be too soon. Get it out.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. And if anyone has any questions about how I feel about that, let me know. Moving right along. All right. Next pro sport in Charlotte. Which one will it be? Let's see. Dale, start us off.
Well, for me, I think it would have to be Major League Baseball. I'd like to see that here in the Queen City. NHL's got some great potential, but we've got a team up the road. I'm not real keen on the WNBA, and I imagine that Gary probably is. I'm going with keeping Major League Baseball, and we're doing one's got to go, right?
Or one's coming.
One's coming. What will be the next one?
Which one are we going to keep, or which one do we want? So that's got to be Major League Baseball, period.
Gary?
Dale knows me. He already gave my answer. I'd like to see the WNBA come back. It left Charlotte, but it wasn't because they weren't winning. They were also owned by George Sheehan, and people hated him. So thus they hated all his products, the WNBA Sting as well as the Hornets. And so they eventually moved out. But I think the women's tournament this year was better than the men's tournament. And in general, I think women's college basketball right now is better than men's college basketball because you have so much with transfer portal and kids leaving early. So it's a short season. It's not that expensive on the budget, and we need a female presence here in Charlotte. So I would like to see the WNBA come back.
Kenzie?
I'm going to be honest with y'all. For the second year in a row, my New Year's resolution is to get more into hockey. So far, I've failed miserably. This is my time to redeem myself. So the NHL's got to come to Charlotte just for the point of me doing something for my New Year's resolution.
Let me put it to you like this. Charlotte isn't set up for Major League Baseball. And I don't know if Major League Baseball thinks that Charlotte is it's gonna outshine Hal Bagwell in Charlotte, because it's just not going to happen. Charlotte is not set up for the National Hockey League. The market just isn't there for it. I mean, yes, they have emerging opportunities in youth sports across the board in Charlotte, and the coaching is great at the youngest levels. There's no question about that. But the market just isn't set up for a National Hockey League team in Charlotte. I think Gary said it best that all of Charlotte still feels the sting of the WNBA departing, and a viable, thriving women's sports present in the Queen City, pun intended, would be a step forward and a sign of hope and progress in what is a vibrant sports market. Now, I'd like to add the caveat to that would be that now we know it'll be a winner if Gary Richmond is the CEO of the operation. You know it's going to be the real deal. So here's the deal. Hey, Mike, I'm sending a message to you right now. Step up and make way for your buddy Gary to get this off the ground and make it happen. A Mike and Gary partnership with Mike with the Hornets and Gary leading a resurgence of the WNBA in Charlotte is an unbeatable UNC tandem. No wonder they both look sharp in blue.
I think he'd be better off with Don Staley doing it.
So Mike, give your buddy Gary a call and step up and let's make this happen and bring the WNBA back. All right, and lastly, all right, your travel destination. Now, which one of these are we getting rid of? Which one of these getting rid of? Dale, start us off.
This is easy.
Go ahead.
Get rid of the travel to a major destination city. You want to go to a major city? Choose one that has a beach, so you can go to the beach and get the city, or choose one that's in another country. Yeah, city's got to go.
Kenzie?
I mean, right now, another country probably wants to go. I mean, there's not very many options country-wise you can go to. I'm not a big beach person, but yeah, another country's got to go.
All right. You know, sometimes it seems we spend enough time on the road traveling and education-based athletics that we feel like we're going to another country sometimes because we drive and it's hard to get there. So, and that with the reality, just as things are right now, another country can go for now. We hope to have opportunities where we can travel abroad again and look forward to that. But as of now, another country can go. Well, all right. So, Gary, take it away.
Well, on the theme of one's got to go, and I'm with you on another country. Some of our Heisman contestants have to go. So, coaches, Grice, Griner, tell us who made the cut.
All right. Hopefully, Langston get that up there so we can go ahead and look at the top. What is our top 8 that has made the Heisman?
Grade 8.
No, we had to fight for this. I think I called Griner a couple of bad names. I had to call and apologize later.
No doubt.
Offense, defense, you know.
When I put my foot down, you know, came out strong.
You know, you got some give and take here. I mean, some tough guys that we had to take off of the list. But here is, I guess that's supposed to say our top 8 instead of 12, right?
Is that last?
All right, so we're starting here with Dalen Smothers, of course.
No, I messed up. I didn't change the 12 to 8, but it should say 8.
We got you. You've been working hard. We got you. We got you. So got Dalen Smothers, of course, the running back Hollywood out of Vance. Byron Brown, QB out of Roseville. Brody Whitson, the QB, Grice's Gym alumni out of TC Roberson. Omarion Hampton, the running back from the undefeated Cleveland Rams program. Travis Shaw, the D lineman out of Grimsley. Curtis Neal, D lineman out of Huff. Javari Rice Williams out, or I think it's supposed to be Wilson, out of Kings Mountain. And then Wade Jarman, the quarterback for Day H Rose. And these are our top 8. Griner, you fought me on a couple guys. Tell me some of the guys that you wanted on there.
Well, definitely, you know, Curtis Neal needed to be added on early on. Like I said before, he's one of the guys that can literally win this whole deal. I like to be able to I think the defensive guys, even though there's some great offensive stats, they've done a lot of things this year. I just think defensively, these guys that are in this list are elite. And I personally are looking at I think there's 4 guys remaining defensively, correct? I'm looking at all 4 of those. I'm going to watch every game this weekend. I'm going to see who makes the big impact playing in the game. So we'll see how it goes.
I love my offensive guys, but the one guy that I really, wanted to make sure was on there was Jahvaree Rice-Wilson. Went through and looked at some of the stats. I mean, he's added 2 more sacks this past week in the J.M. Robinson game to bring his total this year in a COVID-shortened season to 21 sacks on that Kings Mountain defense. I mean, that's phenomenal. I don't know, historic records and through, the games that they've played, that's a great number. But you talk about Whitson, who was a Grice's gem this week, 382 total yards, 5 touchdowns. Heck, he kicked extra points, Griner. He kicked. What more can that man do? He's going to go get the bacon, fry the bacon, serve you the bacon, and eat some of it. Like, he's doing everything he can to help his team win there. I mean, of course, Smothers. I mean, them getting in 4-quarter type games. Hollywood's shining, had over 150 yards in that game against RJ Kell. Look at the Byron Brown kid, out of Roseville, 73 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, added another rushing touchdown. I mean, so you got guys that are really showing their worth here in the playoffs. That's kind of pushing, what we're seeing from these teams. And that's been some of the big things for us. So, I mean, it's going to be tough as we've got to cut it next week. Was that the 3?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's next week we've got to cut it to 3, and oh my goodness, man, Grind, I'm already seeing
that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna be fighting for that defense side of the ball. Even though I think Smothers, I think is really special. I think the quarterbacks are really good. I'm comparing these quarterbacks to like a Drake May talent wise and stuff like that, and I just think that they're not to that level. But the defensive guys have raised their level. I think Grimsley guys are good. Everybody.
I'm with Chris Hughes, but I mean, I think that Brody Whitson quarterback is one of the best, and I might have to punch you in the stomach for that one. So I think it's going to be a very good argument there. But we've got some great talent that's going to be there. But you talk about some of the big games. Kings Mountain plays Monroe. Just quickly, some of these games. You got Huff Vance, you got Smothers, you got Curtis Neal. I can't remember offhand who Grimsley has, but I'll look real quickly. Grimsley has Hillside, another big chance for them to show up. So these teams aren't ducking. They're no more 3 quarters, 500 yards passing and 25 touchdowns. They're going to have to show it against top competition. So hopefully that'll help drive our list of 3. But
it's definitely a race.
Guys have made it.
It's definitely funny. We don't know. Like in our group, we really have to keep evaluating because we don't know who a clear winner is right now. We're looking for it.
Well, we'll continue this debate in our next segment in Coach versus Coach. Hit the music. All right, guys, a lot of things making the news this week. One of them is the Buffalo Bills say they intend to have full stadiums this season coming up for all people who are vaccinated. Is this something that would work at the high school level? Ryan, you start us off.
Absolutely not. It would not work. I'm one of the ones that's not going to get vaccinated. I'm a strong believer in, if my body can sustain it, then it'll sustain it. If not, then it wasn't meant to be. It's that old Rocky saying, if I die, I die. If I don't, I'm keeping on moving. And I hate to say it, but that's just the facts, the way I live my life. And like my son, Brahim Murphy, they're telling him he has to get vaccinated to even come home. And he hates it, but he thinks about it the same way I think about it. And if you try to there's a lot of religious aspects attached to this. And you're telling someone that they have to get vaccinated to do something, that's taking away rights. And I don't see how that'll work out, especially in high school.
Grice?
The key delineator, which, this one, I don't agree for a government entity or a municipal entity to state that you have to do something. When you talk about, the NFL, you talk about the Buffalo Bills, that's a private entity that's telling you in order to participate in what we have going on in our establishment, you have to do this. Private companies, I'm fine with having the ability to do whatever they want for their establishment. But when it comes to bringing in the government and schools and mandating, I struggle with that, and I can't in good conscience support, the mandate for the vaccination.
So you're with
support people getting vaccinated. Yep. You said what?
You're with me on this.
With a specific caveat there, I do support vaccination. I do think that's important in
Can we
fighting
get this?
this virus.
We have never had Grice agree with Griner at all.
That's as close as I can get. I can agree in certain part, but I do disagree in the fact of that hey, if it's a private entity, you can do you do what you want.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I think that they should leave room for if you provide a test a day within 24 hours of the event and you show the proof that look, I do not have the virus or whatever, I think you should be able to go something else without being vaccinated.
They give you a special section, Grinder. You can't go into the specific suite over there. They got to put you at the upper deck. I think that'll change it. They put you up there, 30 rows up in the nosebleed section, in lower levels for the vaccinated. I think Grinder might get a couple of shot real quick.
Touche.
Let me say this, Grice. You mentioned earlier y'all didn't lose a game to COVID or lose a kid to COVID. Okay, so say the majority of kids get vaccinated, but you have one or two that do not. And because they did not, they get the disease. Now the health department tells you, you got to quarantine the whole team. What do you think about that?
No, again, for me, I don't support mandating anything. Again, like Grinder said, I support the choice of families. I'm not getting into anyone's household. I always, for me coaching youth football, I'd always joke about, we would always do our date for paying your money and sign up first of the month. Why? Because people get paid then. I'm not going to anybody's household and telling them what they need to do with their finances or the decisions that they make for their family. So regardless, even if it's football, whatever it is, I can only control what we have going on at school. Anything else from there, the kids are left up to their own devices. They were done, they did that this entire season. They were left to their own devices. Once they left us, they made smart decisions, and a lot of kids in this state made very smart decisions and allowed for us to have a season with minimal games missed.
Okay. Grice, it reminds me of something you said. If it's your time, then it's your time, from Rocky.
When I sat down,
Yeah. But I heard a comedian say he wouldn't fly, and they asked him, why not? He said, I'm scared to crash. And the person said, well, if it's your time, it's your time. And the guy responded, well, what if it's the pilot's time?
That's strong.
Move on.
That's strong. But you want that too.
Okay, next question.
Something wrong with Gary, man. We got the substitute in here today. That boy.
Substitute, man. You got to
substitute in here.
All right. We saw video this week of an AAU referee fighting a parent, and then the parent's daughter jumped in it, and you had a big melee. You also had this week, and this is not part of the question, you had an AAU parent shoot a basketball coach over playing time. Okay. What can we do to protect these officials from this type of conduct in AAU tournaments?
And this man want to talk about 7-on-7, and they shooting people at AAU games. But it's our fault. Terrible 7-on-7 coaches. We're not shooting officials or anything like that. I mean, it's hard to argue the point. And I would hope Grinder wouldn't say that it hasn't gone too far. I mean, it's ridiculous all over. But I do think both sides deserve some culpability. I think we talked about the refs and you don't have those professional refs like you had anymore. You see a lot more kind of get out of character in that regard. But it really has gone too far on both ends. I mean, anytime you put hands on any official, I've never gone to a game and been that mad with the call to think I need to go put my hands on a ref. I've never been a call ever that has called that. And I think to me, it should be a felony to attack an official. I think it should be a felony to hit an official.
I like that.
That's always been my biggest thing. You can have conversation, you can have arguments, you can even be a little angry and maybe say something you shouldn't and receive the right consequences from there. But if there is any contact that's made in an aggressive fashion, I believe it should be a felony, and I believe that coach shouldn't be allowed to coach. That's ridiculous. And again, you talk about AAU. You have when you have that. I mean, you have guys that don't really have anything outside of a major governing body to say, oh, I can attack this official because I don't have any repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably go to another league and start something up. So I think even as a good 7-on-7 as a coach, I know that people know, who I am, and this show doesn't help. Like, if I go out there and act crazy or talk stupid, it's going to be a video sent probably to my head coach, AD, and whoever, whatever you have you. So that's always on my mind, and I think that should always be on other people's mind.
I agree with it. There should be some type of rule. Like in taxi drivers, you're not allowed to do anything. They're like taxi drivers. They're held to a different standard as well. I think you do that to the officiating. And then we can also, if you do that, we can hold to officials to a different standard as well. Make sure they don't get out of character to doing certain things, or having a grading process. I think that we should pay officials more. I've been saying that for a long time. And then have some type of grading situation where the higher the grade you get, the further you get to go, the more games you get to do, the more money you get to make. Things of that type of, that nature would be greatly helpful. And then you'll have better games called. You'll have better situations. But see, the AAU circuit is so diluted now. That's the problem with it. I remember back in the day, it was like the Nets and like one other group. And there was like, if you didn't make it, sorry, but that was it. Those are the ones that traveled. Now you got 37 teams in one county, so Gary coaches 4 of them, and then he'll combine it. Crazy.
That's one thing I can say. I never coached the AAU. I was an AAU parent. And I used to tell my wife, as soon as these parents get loud, we need to move. We're not sitting in any loud parents, because I knew what it was going to lead to. Yeah. And this was, in my case, this was 10 years ago when I was watching my daughter play AAU basketball. And, I saw some fights, never against an official, but parent versus parent. And you can always see it coming, because the slightest little thing, foul them. Don't let them score. Knock them down. Once you say knock my child down, it's on.
And that's the problem with basketball. You can be sitting right beside the person, so there's not really a home side, visitor side a lot of times.
You're right.
In tournaments. And that's the difference in football. We get to benefit from a home side and a visitor side. So we get to have, good camaraderie. We can yell across the field. It's not that serious. But like when someone's standing right beside you, yeah, that becomes a problem. Basketball is an issue.
And what I used to get all the time, well, coach, what you think? Like, I'm not coaching today. I'm just a parent, just like everybody else. Well, coach, what you think? No.
But that's a lost art. That could be a 30-minute discussion. That's a lost art of coaches.
That justifies what they want to do.
Yeah.
Coach Richmond said you can't coach. Or Coach Richmond said you can't officiate, and he knows. Don't come with me. Don't come to me with that stuff. I'm glad I don't have to go anymore. All right, last topic. This week, North Carolina lawmakers grilled Q Tucker about NCHSAA finances. What should the NCHSAA do to help schools that aren't getting that money now? What should they do to help these schools out?
Just create a plan if there's an issue. I didn't really get into details of looking at what was the big knock and why Q might have been upset or what. I didn't get into it. I just think Q does a good job, and I expect them to keep doing a good job. If there's someone that has fell short of that, then we just got to look at it and correct it. I mean, there's people that make mistakes in life, and then we just correct it. That's the whole key. Do we correct it or not?
I got it, Griner. I know. I got it.
This is
the most damning part of the article. Shout out to, I think Langston Wertz was on that article. I think he did a good job. The most damning part of the article was to say if the NCHSAA did not collect another dime from the member schools, it could operate for another decade. So the money out of the endowment that they have right now. I need to understand what they're doing with the money that they're hoarding, so much money that they can't help out the member schools. We discussed the LEAs and we discussed the inequity and the things that are going on, and to see the fact that the NCHSAA, who's charged with serving the member institutions, isn't doing the things that they could do with the money that they have. That to me is really pretty reprehensible, and I think they were right to be raked over the coals for kind of the inaction that they performed. I just think it's no you know, when you talk about a nonprofit, you talk about the plan and the scheduled things that they're supposed to do to help who they're willing to serve. You look at like a United Way, they're willing to help, you know, they have programs to help the schools or the people that they're under. The same thing with the NCHSAA, they're here to help the schools. So we talk about athletics, and you look at some of the other programs that they have instilled to work, you know, to help these programs in high schools out. They're not doing that. We should not have schools that don't have basic, you know, necessities. We should not have a school here without a field house. That should not occur. Everyone should have the basic things that they are like that they're required to play sports. Especially because if you're taking money from these same schools, you're saying, okay, Harding, you don't have a field house. I'm still going to take money from you to make sure our endowment is fine, but we're not going to do what we're charged to do to ensure that you have everything that you need to be able to do.
I just want to interject. The state association takes $1 per student per year. I think it costs a lot more to build a field house than $3,000, $2,000.
But like you said in your article, the endowment is so large they could operate for a decade without taking any more money.
Yes,
I think that's the biggest part.
Does that mean they've been good stewards of their money? They're trying to like have an endowment to use the
yeah, as long as they're not using the money for something that's
but if I start going into the principal, Grice, and I start giving you the principal, eventually I run out. I'm not saying they shouldn't give more, but I'm saying I think you got to be careful.
But I think Langston, so again, we're talking about your article. You did a great job in talking about how their endowment is much larger than places with better facilities. So I think there's a very linear progression to say if we had a lower endowment with money poured back into these schools, there are so many ramifications and positive effects that we could have. Coaches staying here longer, seeing a more influx of talent and resources, seeing people that have more pride in their school, giving back more money.
That is not the responsibility of the NCHSAA. It's not the NCHSAA's responsibility to underwrite school and LEA programs directly. That is not the association's responsibility. Now, that being said, can the association continue to look for new opportunities to return money to school? Of course, the association has done that year after year after year. And can it continue to look for new ways? Absolutely. That being said, though, the prevailing perspective here is what we're seeing is the fruits. We talked about fruit falling off a tree that's rotten earlier. We're seeing fruit, a tree that has borne such thriving fruit that didn't just begin yesterday or a year ago. This is the byproduct of exemplary visionary leadership and management by Charlie Adams, by Q Tucker, which has persisted for generations. There's a reason that the North Carolina High School Athletic Association is the most financially solvent, stable association in the United States of America, and why the association was able to survive this COVID year when some other usually solvent associations were on the brink of financial disaster. It's because of visionary, exemplary leadership by Charlie Adams and Q Tucker.
No, and I agree. I agree with that, Alex. But I also think, and Q even said they're going to go back and look at trying to do more with their board. I think they probably could do more, but I think Q does a great job.
Yes, I agree.
She did a really great job dealing with all those lawmakers. I mean, I'm telling you guys, they went at her, and she kind of, just like she gets on our show with her down home humor.
Well, they can't build field houses. If they build a field house for one school, they got to build one for every
400 schools. Yeah, no, I don't think
that's a lot of money.
But it's not saying you're building this
or pay coaches, because Grice, if they start paying coaches, eventually that $26 million is going to run out. They won't be able to pay.
Exactly.
I never said pay coaches specifically. I just said provide places with a basic need, and it's a nonprofit, so it's not like they can't. Everyone's saying that's not what they're supposed to do. It's a nonprofit. They can set up programs in order to enhance and ensure schools have basic needs. I'm not asking for a huge field house with a massive weight room. A school doesn't have a field house. I still don't understand why people don't look at that with a concern.
I think that's more of an LEA thing, though. I think.
But again, they can
an LEA thing.
The LEAs to then dictate. Again, everyone's passing the buck to say it's LEAs. They can do that and let the LEAs choose. Again,
so if you build a field house for one school, you're going to have to build it for every school.
you're looking at it, Dale, I think from like an overall perspective, like this is the rule, we have to follow this rule.
No. I'm looking at it as you got X amount of money.
Yeah.
What other school
That's
doesn't have
an
a field house?
example. That's an expensive venture, and you do it for one school. Every other school is going to ask for it
What
too.
other school doesn't have a field house? I need specific. We have a
Well,
one
they're
school
going to
with
say
field
you
house that
spent that kind of money to build that, and we don't have a track. So let's
Right.
build me a track, or let's give me a turf field. So
And the other thing you have to remember is that those are LEA-based decisions. We saw a number of school systems, LEAs, particularly in the northeastern corridor of the state, who did not play sports this year. And who can blame them? Because they had more pressing issues in terms of accessibility that mitigated some of the things that they could do from a day-to-day instruction perspective, that sports were so far beyond the realm of possibilities. It makes total sense because they prioritize.
Well,
so
guys,
the association can't come in and say you have to build a field house when LEAs have more pressing issues.
Yeah.
It's not feasible and it doesn't make sense.
I think that's a great argument for the beginning of another show. We've been going at it for a while. Before we get out of here, Kenzie, I'm going to give you the one shot. Give us your final thoughts about the big game and a prediction.
Man, like I said before, it's going to be a great game. Obviously, tensions are running high. Vance is looking for a comeback. I've been told by the Vance AD I look a lot bigger on camera. I mean, it's going to be an exciting game. I think there's going to be a lot of tension. We saw a lot of tension at the end of the last game. I think it's going to be one where, there's going to be a lot of trash talk. It's going to be back and forth. Both fan sides are going to be excited. It's going to be a great game.
Give me a score.
Yeah, we need a score, Kenzie.
Give me a score.
Nah.
Yes, do it.
Kenzie, score.
Oh, do it. Score.
No, okay. All right. Let's go
calling the
outside.
game, Kenzie?
Gary,
Are you calling the game?
I am.
I'll be there.
Okay.
All right, hold on.
That's what you're supposed to say. That's what you're supposed to say, Kenzie. When you're calling the game, just like they do on ESPN, say, I can't pick because I need to be neutral.
Okay, Mr. Fancy Guy, you aren't calling the game, so what's your prediction?
Come on, Gary.
Here's my prediction. Vance wins. Close game. They won't make as many mistakes. They will have the underdog mentality this time because they're on the road and they know Huff can beat them. So my prediction is, in a very close game, Vance.
Wow, it should be some game. Two great teams, two great coaches, two great programs in the second round playoff game. That's crazy to me. All right, Sam, we're going to put you in the one shot. You get your let me hit the wrong button. And we're going to get your final thoughts.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just want to give a shout out to Justice Served today. That was a fantastic verdict. I think that, I know we ain't supposed to probably talk about that, but I just wanted to, say congratulations to George Floyd's family. That was a good verdict for them. And, whatever justice needed to be served, it was served. I will be at the game, Huff fans, as long as Langston got me in there. Okay, I have to wear my badge. Don't know if I need to or not, but I will be there and I'm ready for the fireworks.
All right, guys, gonna be something. We got to get some post-game video action going. Guys, really enjoyed the show. Got heavy again. I just don't understand why we get heavy every week. I came in here and promised I wouldn't be heavy last week, and I'm heavier this week than I was. Heavy means late. I'm heavier this week than I was last week. But anyway, it's a great show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You're still watching. I'm Langston. That's Gary. That's Sam. That's Dale. That's Miss Kenzie. That's Grice. That's my man Alex Bass. We are talking preps. We'll be right back here next Tuesday at 8 with 3 Heisman candidates.